Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
I get pitched all the time. Investment banking firms, software as a service companies, consultants, they're always polished, professional, and prepared. They walk me through their pitch. I nod. I understand the offer. But then, I forget them. Why? Because there's no emotional connection, no story, just information, dressed up in better formatting. But then, someone walks in and tells me a story. Maybe it's about a problem they solved, a customer who transformed, or the moment everything changed. That story sticks with me. It's not just about what they offer, but how they make me feel. That's the difference. This week on Follow the Brand, I'm sitting down with David J. Ebner, founder of Content Workshop. Together, we're unpacking the difference between story-first and content-first leadership. We dive into emotional connection, why asking who does this help changes everything, and how to build real authority in a crowded marketplace. If you're building a brand, scaling a business, or trying to stand out in a commoditized market, this conversation is for you. Storytelling isn't just a tool, it's your edge. New episodes every week on Follow the Brand. Join us, and let's build something unforgettable together.
I want to welcome everybody to the Follow Brand Podcast. This is your host, Grant McGaugh. I am in the Midwest. I got another guest here from the great state of Florida. They're making me missing Florida. I wonder why I'm missing Florida when it's only 30 degrees outside. It's probably 80 degrees where David is located right now. But that's okay. This is the time of year, like, hey, everybody wants to be in Florida. But we don't want to be in Florida usually in September, October, because, it's hurricane season. So there's always a bit of a trade-off, no matter where you live. So, David, give us a little bit of peek into who you are and why you're here.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Grant. I'm David J. Ebner. I tell people the J is silent because if you Google David Ebner, you're going to find, there's a furniture artist that is very successful named David Ebner. There's a few other David Ebners out there, but if you put the J in there, I'm all over your first page of Google. That's all me. I run Content Workshop, which is a brand storytelling agency. We've been operating for a little over 13 years now. telling brand stories in every single medium you can possibly think of. So happy to talk more about that on the show with you here today. I live in Dunedin, Florida, a tiny little town that is populated by a handful of locals and a bunch of people visiting, which is a fantastic little town to live in, just outside of Tampa. I actually grew up in Northeast Ohio, so I've spent my time. I like to say I did my time up there in the winter. Got that lake effect snow, got all that those cold mornings, and I'm done with that now. I'm just done with it, Grant. So I've settled here with my family. I have a wife and two kids here in Dunedin.
Beautiful. And I hear you think I escaped, right, for 30 years. Why would I run back to that? But there's reasons for the seasons for everything. I do kind of miss the seasons. I was looking forward because I got back in the spring and I saw the season. The summers are just like it is in Florida. It was really no difference. But then you start seeing the leaves falling, you get into the seasonal aspects of it. It's all great. Usually when you really, to be very honest, transparent, when you don't really like being in the Midwest where it's cold, it's January, February. And I'm gonna tell you the worst is really March because you think it's gonna get warmer. You're ready, it's spring, and it's still cold. It is so annoying when that happens. But we'll get to that. I still get to travel a lot, so don't feel too sorry for me, anything like that. And I do love the Midwest. There's a lot of things going on here that is very exciting. That's a story, right? And you talk story. I love this conversation we're going to have because we're going to first unpack this around origin story, right? So, David, I know that you started as a creative writer before funding your content workshop, right?
Right.
I want to know this. What did storytelling teach you about business that traditional marketing never could?
Wow, that's a great question, Grant. I think storytelling taught me a lot about sales. As an entrepreneur myself, how to effectively sell to people.
Mhm.
Now, I'll say that what makes great stories like effective is emotional connection. That's it. I mean, in a nutshell, you've got somebody telling a story, somebody receiving that story, listening, viewing, whatever it may be, and you're trying to build an emotional connection between those two entities, right? So much so that when you're not right in front of them with your story, they're still thinking about it, right? They can recall your story and they can recall the emotional feeling and what you made them feel when they consumed that story. That's true effective storytelling. And I think that actually plays out in a lot of different aspects for businesses, of course. But like in the sales process, I think having a good brand story will help you make the viewer or the person you're trying to sell to feel like an active participant and a character in that story. So much so that they'll see that you are essentially the thing that will help them become the hero of their own story. You are what will allow them to overcome their challenges and reach their goals. It's you, right? It's you as a brand and as a company coming to them. And that's truly, I don't know, like that's really all brand storytelling is. We spend a lot of time and energy thinking about ourselves and our own companies, but really the brand story is about your audience, your target persona, the person you're trying to make them the hero by helping them solve their problems, by having them help them with a better quality of life, by saving them time, by saving them money, whatever it is, you have to make them a hero. And if you can do that, you're telling your own brand story in the process.
And that story, as you said, once you can get it in real life, people like that's why testimonials are so big today. If you can get a real testimony, that's something that like everybody can tell that you're doing, like, no, this really happened and I achieved this goal or this positive outcome because I took all these cues from David and I applied it, and now look at me now. I mean that transformational arc, as we call it, that is great. And stories are memorable, right? I don't know how many. I get a lot of sales pitches, right? People come in, maybe it's an investment banking firm. They come in, they tell me what they're doing, and I think that's great. And like, all right, that's wonderful, and they leave. But if it's very generic, very commoditized, meaning was it impactful? To your point, was there an emotional connection that took place, a transference. Just like when we started out here, we had to first kind of where are we, similar. Oh, Florida. Oh, okay, we got stories around that. Midwest, oh, stories around the weather related one. It gets things going, right? And I can leave this podcast today, but he probably, oh yeah, that grand guy. Yeah, he used to live in Florida, but he's in the Midwest. Because that's the emotional connection that's there. I think there's a lot to be said around that, that story versus content. A lot of people, especially when you're selling, they give me a lot of content, but are you really telling a story? So if you're very intentional about that story first, not just content first, and I want to ask you this, what is the difference between story first and content first, and why does that matter right now?
Yeah, so not all content has story, but all stories are content. I think is a great way to think about it. So if you're telling a story as a brand, that is content. That's what content is, right? But like your content devoid of a story is not something that's going to build resonance and like emotional connection, right? So that's really the big difference is what are you leading with? Anything with words, graphics, audio, or video is content. We have this joke around here. One of our team members will hold up a mug and be like, "Is this content?" Like, well, sure, that's content, but does it actually have an emotional connection with an individual, right? Is the question. So that's the big difference. And I know that seems very tangential. It's like really hard to like bite into the idea of it being a story. But how we share this with other people is like really to think about the pain points, the problems that your target audience needs to solve, and how you can help them. And your content should really be focused on that, providing solutions to their problems, not just telling people buy from me, but like here's how to solve some of your problems. And also another way to solve some of your problems might be that we, have a chat. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that's really I think the difference.
I think and here we are now, speaking to the big elephant in our room all day is artificial intelligence and AI. Does it change the story or does it not change the story? It doesn't have what they call context. It's information, it's data, it's recall, it's mem. You can bring a lot of things to the table. You can generate a lot of content instantly. I mean, boom, here's the content. But is it a story? I mean, can it really, build that emotional connection that's really there? And, has it changed storytelling or it really hasn't changed anything at all? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, AI is obviously a hot topic, and we'll listen to this podcast in 10 years and be like, well, duh, it still is, right? Like it's not going anywhere. However, I think where a lot of people get a little tripped up with AI is that they look to AI to solve the problems from a strategic point of view. They say, okay, like AI, write my brand story. Well, AI can deliver you content. It can deliver you words very fast. It can't mask empathy, right? Empathy is a human to human emotion, which is really the core emotion you're trying to get across with any piece of content is like, do you believe me? Do you also feel this way? Can you feel this with me right now? So AI is a fantastic tool to help speed up the process of producing words. But you still need a human to add discernment, to add context, to add editing, QA. So if you really think about AI less as like it's going to do the content for you, and more like just another tool to be used in the process of generating content that you have at your disposal to speed things up, then that kind of changed the viewpoint a little bit, right? We like
Yeah.
to think of AI around here as we call it the human AI sandwich, but like the creative ideas, the input and stuff should be triggered by humans because we're far more creative and actually intelligent than these systems are, and we know how emotions are built, and we know our brain better than anything would. You have a trained AI system that knows about your brain to a degree, knows how you like to talk, knows like the words you like to choose, things like that. You can feed it information and data, and then you have a human at the end doing some sort of QA editing to like refine that and make sure it actually does what you want it to do. At this point, you still need to have those human touch points at the beginning and the end to produce good storytelling.
Yeah, those endpoints. I think people have downplayed where they fit in the workflow to a certain degree. Understanding that situational awareness, emotional intelligence, not just the raw data input or information that's in front of you. Because what happens when you read something? You read it and you have to put it into context, right? This is why, like when in the story of Jaws came out, I always liked this story, Jaws. Everybody, some people have seen the movie, some people have read the book. The book is way more descriptive, way better than really the movie. You come out with different scenarios in the book than you do in the movie. The movie was a great movie. Don't get me wrong; it's a great movie, but it's different modalities. AI is a modality, in my opinion. It can get you to a certain degree, to your point, and it can get you quicker. It can get some context. And some people get writer's block, right? Maybe it can get you started. Let's start that engine. But within yourself, as a human being, you have that creative power and that creativity, imaginative, and at a moment's notice, like the light bulb goes off, something that a machine really doesn't do at this point. It fails when it comes to context, and it fails when it comes to wisdom because it's not a living thing. Now, when it comes to mathematical computation and correlation of words and patterns, forget about it. It can really do some things, but it can get you to a point. But as they always say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people that are watching this now, on video can see that painting behind you. I think it's a very beautiful piece of art, right? Someone else may disagree. And I know that only you, I can either infer a story about where that piece of art came from or why you bought it and all that. I can infer it might not be correct, but you're the only one that really knows the story of the origin of that art, what it's doing now, and maybe even how it fits into the overall arc of what you're trying to accomplish. This is the beauty of it. But I like how you placed AI in your stack and how you utilize it and why actually I think it can amplify what you're doing as you go forward. Now here's the dip because there's a lot of saturation in this world, right? How do you stand out in saturation in technology and all the different brands that you're looking to influence when everything starts to begin to sound the same? How do brands break through when buyers are overwhelmed or skeptical, in your opinion?
Well, we call that around here the sea of sameness, which definitely happening. AI is the perpetrator on that front, of course, right? Like everything sounds the same, everything, there's a lot of volume out there, a lot of noise, not a lot of signal. That's AI. It's people relying on AI to be the strategy. And they're producing tons of content. We like to think of it as, great content, great stories have always come from human thought, right? And to your point, it all comes down to the context, which is a layer that every individual person has a lens that they see the world in. They have because they have past experiences. We've loved and lost. We've had triumph. We've had failure. We've had all of these past experiences. We went with our family to Hawaii that one time, right? Like AI can't have any of those experiences, right? So we bring that to the table with us. So when we look at something, our contextual lens is everything that's ever happened to us, right? So it's a lot. There's a lot that we bring to it. So when we're coming up with these creative stories and ideas, that the idea would be to like know your target audience so well that you have an idea of their lens to a degree. And now you're not going to know all the personal things happening in their life, but you know their work things, right? You know how like what their work life is like. If you don't, then how the heck would you ever solve their problems to begin with, right? Like you you know that context, so you bring that with all of the experiences you've had to come up with ideas of ways you can help them and provide them value via content. And we think of the content function as a funnel, right? Like for those of you watching at home, you can make a nice funnel with your arms like that, right? But like as you know, what goes in the top, less comes out the bottom than what goes in the top. Lots of great ideas, but not all of them really make it to the page because along the way you decide, that's actually not hitting the target that I wanted to hit. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, the Sea of Sameness is creating kind of a hallway where like everybody's ideas, they're just publishing all of it. Everything that gets started in the top of the funnel is going out the backside, which is not ideal, and it's causing this all that noise. So the best thing to do, actually, it's both harder than ever, but also easier than ever to stand out today in content. It's harder than ever because you have to work against all these people doing the same thing. However, if you're zigging when everybody else is zagging, then you're gonna stand out, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and by doubling down on value, giving away some of the secret sauce of your company, as in like why things are important, how to do them, but maybe like you save what to do to achieve the goals, like that's something you sell yourself. By producing value at that level, you will stand out because other people are not doing that. And let's talk about word choice just for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Word choice matters. Like words matter. So just simply by having like good sentence structure. AI likes to produce things in a certain way. Like they have their base model, which produces a lot of like segues between paragraphs.
Yeah.
Likes to delve in. It likes to say in the age of XYZ, whatever it is. It uses M dashes a lot, which is unfortunate because like M dashes have been like a core value to me. But now when I use them, people think AI wrote the content. But all you have to do is, zig, right? Like train your AI system to not do that or do the editing yourself instead of
Sure.
giving a bunch of like similar sentences, break it up. Like the words you choose can actually do have the effect on the page. And you as an individual just taking a layer of editing and not just taking whatever is spit out and publishing after you do your own layer of editing is going to help you there.
100%. And I want our audience to lean in on what you just said about word choice. Understand what a word is. A word is a part of an overall picture or scene, like a video, a flow of pictures. I think in the Asian Japanese language, it's exactly how they set up their alphabet and things like that. There are caricatures. But this is how the human mind works. It sees in pictures. It thinks in pictures, not really word. We convert the words into pictures. So when you're reading something, or you're like you say, you're creating story-like content, a story is very visual. That's the cool thing I think about a good story. I could visualize myself being there. I could see myself on the edge of the cliff. I could see that I can feel the emotion of falling off the cliff, going into the cold water, cold, dark water below, where I then found the submarine and I was saved. You'd be like, whoa, wow. But those are visual contexts, right? It's very, very visual. You can really see it. That's where I think when you start looking at AI, it's not that it fails at, I call the emotional layer. It fails at the imaginative world. You can train it to try to get there, but you're gonna have to fiddle with it for a little bit. It's okay, but when you just need word choices, it's fine. I use it to get me started. It gets me in the ball game, and then I can begin to massage it and play with it like some Play-Doh, right? I get my little Play-Doh and move it around, and I can play around with it and get there. But visual context in the story, I think that's a core fact of humanity, and we think about our origins as a civilization and how we think and act and who we come from. It's all in story, right? Our religious context is all in story. Our beginnings of civilization is all in story. But those are things you remember. I come back to that memorability. I think you have a great skill set and value that you bring to the table, because you probably see this. You wouldn't be a business if everybody can create great stories. You'd be out of business. Do you find that that's really the key? Like, hey, David, I got to come to you because I don't know how to create this into a story.
It's definitely a differentiator. And I think there's a lot of people who will put like brand storytelling next to their name in different things. But my approach, at least, has been from an academic point of view, right? I have a master's degree in fine arts and creative writing. And actually, that's how our business got started. I was in graduate school learning all of these skills on an artistic front. Still having a hard time paying the bills, working, I was selling shoes at the time or something like that. And I was like, whoa, wait, all these things I'm learning, character development, dialogue, narrative thread and flow, those are directly applicable in a commercial sense in marketing. So we started like providing that service. I got other graduate students together that and said, hey, would you want to do this with me? And we were just kind of like this co-op of freelancers. And that's been our entire genesis. But we came from it from an artistic foundational setting and applying those skills in a commercial setting. And I think that does help quite a bit. But by no means do you need to have like a master's degree in creative writing to be good at this. Like there's plenty of people who are fantastic at it. But like with in the age of AI, to use an AI phrase,
Yeah.
you understanding the foundations as to why things work and how they actually operate is extremely important. Because if you don't, you'll never know how to train the AI system to do it effectively or edit against it. you will assume that everything it gives you is correct, but it may not always be. I mean, there's great examples with people who vibe code, I guess is the term, right? Where
Yeah,
just tell AI to do things and they write code and then they get errors and they can't understand why this is not working, why their code isn't being deployed, why things aren't working. And they'll ask the AI and they'll say, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. It's always, AI is always looking to solve a problem, even if one doesn't exist. And it will
exactly.
tell you that you are the best at what you do. You're so smart and so right all the time, even when you're not, right? Um, so that's where like the foundations of those things help. And I think that's why people still hire us today. We actually do help companies build their own internal AI ecosystems, train those systems, help them. Like we train people like individually how to operate them. Our goal is to help tell great stories in whatever way we can. And if that means that we're actually telling the story for them or we're teaching them how to do it, it's all the same to us.
It's very important to understand that. And I think it's a core differentiator in business if you can get it across. When you think about some great brand stories that are out there, just do it. I can just say, just do it.
I
It
guess
automatically goes back to Nike. That's an incredible, powerful tool if it can resonate at that level. And that's from brand storytelling, right? People remember that. If I started telling you all the bits and bytes about tennis shoes or something like that, you'd be like, that is the most boring, un flattering piece of content whatsoever. I don't want anyone to see, what Nike does. But obviously, if you see a young kid, that may be a little bit overweight, who's trying to lose weight, putting forth the effort, and then he has on your brand, man, it goes a long way because you can see yourself in this story. To your point earlier, can you see yourself, your ideal audience, in the story? Am I in the story? And can I achieve my goal without you? And then you both are heroes, in that story. I think that's important because I call that real differentiator in this sea of AI content. No one can tell your story. No one has the exact story that I have. No one has the exact story as you had. You say, "Hey, David J," which is silent Ebner, like that. But you tell that story because no one else can tell that exact story. I think that operationalizes your creativity, especially in this world. My question, as we move from like content to experience, I know that Content Workshop, you acquired a web and technology studio, I think this year, correct me if I'm wrong, but what does that say about where storytelling is headed from words to full brand experience?
that's a great question, Grant. And we try to think of that as the next evolution of storytelling. Is it's always been very much thought of as like words,
Mhm.
graphics, and then audio and video. Now with fantastic podcasts, we're getting a lot more audio stories being told. But that is just like the product, right? That's the delivery mechanism. Where those stories live are is a whole nother aspect of this, right? A lot of them live on websites, right? This we did acquire a web and tech studio earlier this year. It's called Lush Concepts. They're now part of Content Workshop, and we build websites now from scratch for people so that the stories we can tell have a beautiful home and platform in which for them to be told, right? It's like having a Ferrari but parking in the garage. Like that's no good. You need a street. You need to like take it out, right? And great content is awesome, but if it's living on a site that's not optimized or if it doesn't match the story of the brand, then it doesn't really matter. And then that also extends to applications and proprietary tools that the team can build. And additionally, the next stage of that is experiences, right? Like actual physical experiences. Brand storytelling at events is huge, huge.
Yeah.
And that's why we have a whole experiential team that does that as well. They build like these, they can use virtual reality, augmented reality tools. They can build digital screens and displays, and they can use like LiDAR and radar so that you can actually move in a space and things can happen. So if you have a story, a brand story, the idea of like somebody walking past your booth, maybe at a convention or coming to your own like user conference or something like that, uh,
Right.
you want to immerse them and get a memorable moment out of them somehow. And that's really hard to do. There's a lot of kitschy things that people will give you tons of swag, right? That'll probably end up in a dumpster at some point. We can talk about that a whole nother time.
Yeah.
You can give away things. You have an exciting reason. You can have a raffle. You can enter people into whatever it may be. But like the idea that they could physically engage in your brand story some way is extremely memorable. So I think that's really the next evolution of this. It's just really about where the stories can be told. And
Mhm.
they don't always have to be, a lot of people are hearing this and probably like, well, there's no way I'm gonna like design my own video game for my convention. Like that's way too expensive and like a lot of work. Yes, it is extremely expensive, but there's lo-fi like things you can do, low tech activations to tell a story. As an example, we just sponsored a marketing conference for cybersecurity marketers, and our theme was like the greatest stories ever told. So we
Yeah.
literally decided we were going to bring out these lucha libre masks we had made in Mexico, the Mexican wrestling masks. A lot of people to decorate them and like do arts and crafts on them. And then we took pictures of them with a Polaroid and stuck them to a board, and people voted with stickers. Like it couldn't be more lo-fi than that, but it engaged people at such a deep level. And they were creating their own story. They all became a wrestler the second they put on that mask to take the picture. And then the next day we hosted a wrestling match, which we wrote the entire script for the match and themed it around cybersecurity, right? So like all the characters. So like there's ways to do this on a low tech, lo-fi way to engage people in what you do. We tell stories as a brand, and that's exactly what we did there and allowed them to engage in it. So I think that's kind of like the next iteration. That's why we started working with that company. Yeah.
You hit on a very good point, especially a lot of these social media platforms now. They want to see engagement and immersion, more time spent in the content that you create. So that means you're going to have to start creating a deeper experience, whether it's on your website, your social media, or whatever it may be, that so they stay there longer, right? That's why long-term video, people are like, oh, long form video is out. Like, no, you can always take long form and create it even short form, or make it a doorway into a deeper experience. There's different things you can do. And I love that you are being innovative. Like, hey, this is what we need to do to expand our brand experience to be deeper in this, right? And I think for founders and executives that are listening around this, around leadership and brand voice, here's my question for you is going to be, what role should leaders personally play? I mean, you talked about, hey, this is too expensive, this is this, but they don't really know. But if they really start thinking about it, we got to start thinking about how can they play in shaping the brand narrative in the age of AI?
Another great question, Grant, and I think there's a couple things that they can do. First and foremost, especially if you're a founder, you have to come to the realization at some point in time to grow your company that your story is not the brand story all the time, right? That's great. You have an origin story of why you started the company and the problem you solve and all that kind of stuff and your background. But really just focusing on the customer and how you help them and how their lives are better, like detaching yourself a little bit personally from the brand itself and the company and their story, I think is extremely helpful and a hard thing for a lot of early stage entrepreneurs to do. But eventually they usually get there if they're going to grow.
Mhm.
So that's extremely important. The other thing I'll say, which has really nothing to do with marketing or anything like that, is as a company, you need to have values. As a company, you need to set those values at the leadership level, executive level. You need to include feedback from people on what those values should be. People need to be bought into what you stand for as a company. And I'm not saying you have to have an opinion about everything. You do not have to as a company, right? But you have to have values. And then you as a leader need to espouse those values and live up to them and share them all the time. Share them wildly with people. Because that level of authenticity that you can provide as a leader to your team internally, but also your clients will see it too. And your potential clients will definitely see that will just create a bunch of co-conspirators in your success. That's the way I think about it. Like I like to share my goals with people, even if they're wild and crazy. I don't worry about not achieving them and then looking like somebody who can't be successful. Every time you tell somebody what you're trying to accomplish, you just create one more person looking out to help you accomplish that. They can't help.
Yeah.
If I told you my goals, you at some point in time you'd be like, oh, I heard this thing and David mentioned this thing. I'm going to send it to him, right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. So as a leader, I would just make sure that you're living up to that kind of like that value action alignment as a leader, being the authentic self and presenting the brand that way. And then you can also trickle that into your brand story as well, too, right? Um, what you do and how you do it should align with those values that you've created as a company and as a brand, and promote that, put it out there. Tell people what you stand for and how you do that in the world. I think that that level of authenticity is going to lead to growth for you. Certainly will lead to a team respecting you. And if a team respects you and cares for you, your goals become their goals because they're one and the same, right?
And
Um,
if it's visible, that point of view, your point of view on this particular issue, topic, or whatever it may be, this is why I do think that emotional connection that you talked about. And, you see some of the brands that are out there now, they're connecting it to social impact.
yeah.
I believe in this. I'm going to stand in this, and I'm going to actually create a living, out of this because it's important. And then people are like, you're authentic in your brand in what you're talking about. The story resonates. There's an alignment of authenticity throughout the brand experience that I'm getting from you. And so that point of view, I always start. You got to start with that point of view to get into that personal story, then your platform to make it visible. And where does that position you in the marketplace? I was talking to another gentleman just earlier this week. He said, I'm in a commoditized world of software engineering. What makes me different is my story and how I do things and how I make it actionable, but it resonates with my client. My client, I'm on that same mountain that you're on. And to your point, if you share like, oh, let me help you up the mountain, or that, and vice versa, so you can get the assistance that you need, because we're all trying to accomplish, a particular goal and what that's going to look like. Before I let you go, this last question, as we look in, we're going into the next year, 2026, what's happening, what's separating brands from others? They keep getting, it's a very flooded, crowded marketplace. Here's the question. If a company could only fix one thing about its content strategy going into next year, in your opinion, what should that be?
Oof. One thing to fix, assuming it's broken, right? And it needs to be fixed, or at least this is something you should focus on, even if it's not broken, right? Um, I would say I would start asking myself questions about every single deliverable, every single campaign, and asking myself, who does this help and how does it help them? And if you don't have a clear answer there, then you probably shouldn't spend your time on it. I think also asking potentially who does this hurt is important too, and something we don't think of as marketers or entrepreneurs is that like sometimes we take without giving, and we do that by taking people's time and attention, right, without providing value, or having that value be something only about us and what we can get from that person, and not what we can give to that person. I think that's a great way to think about content, right? Think about content as corporate philanthropy, right?
Yeah.
Like to a degree, you're helping people. That's all you're, and guess what? That's what selling is anyway, is just helping people, right? So I would take that lens to my campaigns, to my strategy, and look at it and like for every single campaign and asset, put a little line next to it and say, who does this help? And answer that question. And it needs to help somebody that's not just you, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like, oh, this will help me reach my lead goal, right? Like it needs to be, this will help this persona solve this problem that's common for them, or help them understand where to go look for more information or whatever it may be. That's what I would do.
I like that. I like it's a service-oriented lens and viewpoint. That's beautiful. And I lied a little bit. I said that was my last question. I have one more question. A very simple question. You've been on a lot of shows. You've been on a lot of podcasts. This is your first experience on the Follow Brand podcast. You've now gone through a whole, 30, 40 minutes with me. How did you feel about this show?
It's a fantastic format and show. I mean, I'm a storyteller at heart, Grant. So like the fact that this is kind of your format, um, I think not only serves the guests, not only serves you as the host, but it certainly serves the audience. It serves in helping really instill the messages that are going to be delivered on the show by grounding them in story, by grounding them in emotion, allowing people to be express freely who they are, and how different we all are, I think is important. And when I get to tell my story, that's what I get to do. So I think I wish more podcasts were kind of were kind of on that level, honestly, Grant.
I like that. I like that, David. Really appreciate that. You got to tell us how to contact you. There's a lot of people out there now listening. Like, all right, I need David's service. How would they do that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get a hold of me. You can go to LinkedIn and search David J. Ebner. You'll find me. I've got a little like Groucho Marx emoji with glasses and a mustache is kind of like my thing. Connect with me over there. I accept every connection request I get. Maybe I shouldn't, Grant, but like everybody can connect with me and I'll chat with you. If you go to our website, our work website, contentworkshop.com, there's a little like chat window in the bottom right corner and it's got my face and there's a little message from me that actually comes to my phone right here.
Nice,
So
nice.
and look at all the messages I've got on there, right? Someone's probably
There-
happy to chat with you anytime. And like I said, I say all the time, my friendship is 100% free. If I can help you in some way, please do not hesitate to connect with me.
Well, I really appreciate you being on this show and sharing your story. Stories have value, and it helps us along our way in the episode of life that we're in. I think life is very episodic. There's different episodes that we find ourselves in. And I encourage your entire audience to take a look at all the episodes of Follow the Brand. And that is at 5-star BDM. That is the number 5. That is star. B for brand, D for developmentinfomasters.com. I want to thank you so much again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Grant.
You're welcome. Take care.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
I love the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
Really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
The difference between influence and legacy, it's the platform that carries your voice. You're not visible because you lack talent. You're visible because your brand doesn't speak. I've built 5-star BD&M to change that. Most leaders have the expertise, but not the presence, the vision, but not the vehicle. Across 3 cities, one brand is helping leaders rise above the noise. Here in the heart of Omaha, strategy isn't left to chance. It's engineered with precision. In Omaha, we engineered your Zachner brand, AI-powered, data-driven, precise. TISA went from a local nonprofit to a national speaker in 90 days. We don't guess your brand strategy, we build it. On the shores of St. Croix, your brand takes on depth and meaning, shaped through curated retreats and legacy experiences. In St. Croix, strategy becomes soul. Our retreats don't just refine your message, they rediscover your mission. One founder rewrote his entire company story here. Funding followed 30 days later. This is where leaders remember who they were meant to be. In vibrant Miami, momentum meets amplification, transforming your voice into a movement. In Miami, your brand becomes a movement. Business development accelerators, audience building. Joy came with an old website and an outdated company name, but she left with 5,000 followers and a waiting list. This is where you scale with soul. 3 cities, 1 mission. Your legacy ignited. It started with a thread. Let's pull it together. Stop blending and start leading. 5-star BDM, where legacy is engineered, embodied, and ignited. Visit 5.
You've done a lot of podcasts. You have your own podcast. Now you've gone through the Follow the Brand podcast with myself, Grant McGaw. How did you feel about this interview?
Went exceptionally well.
And I thank you for the opportunity, Grant, to be able to speak about me, because one of the things about my own podcast is that I reflect a lot on stories and situations and examples of things that I've experienced, but seldom is it a platform and an opportunity for me to really share my story.
StarBDM.com and book your brand audit today.
You've been on a lot of podcasts. You have your own podcast. Now you've had the experience of being with me on
to sell my image or sell my services or sell my I could be myself. I had a great experience with you, and
I'm just so happy with you. But I gotta ask you this, because I ask my guests this always in real time. I like to have it in real time. How did you like your appearance on the Follow the Brand podcast?
It was like I was just conversing with a good friend of me, sharing my heart out. It was no, and you've just touched the right chords. So that's where, I was able to bring out so many things and share everything so honestly from the bottom of my heart. So it was not like a formal podcast where you are like, hey, Grant, yes, Grant. It was not like that. It was no real question session. This was pure fun.
I want to thank everybody for coming out here and join our center here at the Enterprise, L96 and L. This is the grand opening of 5-Star BDM in Omaha, Nebraska, my hometown, and I can't wait to bring these services and healthcare, technology, and finance to all of you. Welcome to 5-Star BDM Studio. This is where we are making the Follow Brand Podcast TV series and the Follow Brand Podcast itself. This is where the magic happens. Thank you again for tuning into the Follow Brand Podcast. I am your host, Grant McGaw. We are going to feature those who are looking to scale and grow their business to the next level in the world of healthcare, the world of technology, and finance. I want to thank you all for tuning in week by week, because this is how we grow our brand to the highest level. I want to thank each and every one of you, first of all, for taking the time to share your vision, your ideas with us at 5-Star BDM, so we can take what you have and bring it to an ideal state. We want to focus on you. Welcome to the Follow Brand Podcast. Today we're going to talk about unleashing your visibility of value. One of the biggest problems that small business owners have is that their value is not visible. We change that for everyone. Now, for 5-Star BDM, and you're looking to be a client, you're looking to scale, you're looking to move yourself to a whole nother level, this is the way you do it. First, you book an appointment with me. You get a free consultation. We're going to talk about where you're currently at in your journey. We want to understand your brand assessment. From there, we start with the BRAVE framework. And the BRAVE framework that I have patented, I have a copyright and a trademark on. We're talking about brand identity. We're talking about resilience. We're talking about authenticity. And we are talking about visibility and execution. If this rings true for you, it'll ring true for your business.
Somewhere right now, your ideal customer just scrolled past you. In the endless stream of content, your message, your story, your brand, gone in a flick of the thumb. Stop. Take a breath. This is the moment to ask, what would make them pause? What would make them care? Because in today's digital world, attention is currency, and you cannot afford to be overlooked. You built something real. You put in the work, the hours, the sleepless nights. You sacrificed, you hustled, You dreamed. But when your brand shows up online, it looks like everyone else's. In a world drowning in content, ordinary is invisible, and invisible is out of business. The truth is, no matter how great your product or service, if your story does not stand out, it will not be seen. And if it is not seen, it cannot grow. You deserve more than to blend in. You deserve to be unforgettable. At 5-Star BDM, we do not just make videos. We build brand conversion engines. Every project is a fusion of cinematic storytelling, strategic messaging, and AI-powered visuals. Every frame is engineered to stop the scroll and start a conversation. We are not here to add more noise. We are here to create impact. With over 1,000 videos produced, we have refined our process to deliver a 5 to 7 day turnaround. Unlimited revisions, because your brand deserves nothing less than perfection. This is not about making content. This is about making your brand impossible to ignore. But let us be clear, this is not for everyone. This is for the entrepreneur who knows their brand is not just a business. It is a movement waiting to be seen. It is for the visionary who refuses to settle for average. It is for the leader who wants their story told with power, clarity, and style. Do not just take our word for it. Susan said, "The video you produced for me was fabulous." Joy shared, "My brand finally looked like what I knew it was." Tisa added, "I highly recommend their work." These are not just testimonials. They are proof that when your story is told right, people notice. Your brand is who you are. Your video is what the world sees. Let us make sure those two things match. If you are ready to step out of the shadows and into the spotlight, 5-Star BDM Video Creation Services is here for you. Videos that stop the scroll. Content that converts. Visit 5starbdm.com/video creation services. This is your moment. Do not let it pass by unseen. Make your brand unforgettable.
The 5-Star BDM LinkedIn Social Selling course can help you stand out and attract the right connections and opportunities. We will help you professionally create your profile, provide personalized recommendations for improvement, and help you create and share engaging content to help you showcase your skills and expertise. Our 5-step course makes connecting with industry experts, finding job opportunities, and building meaningful relationships easy. Social selling can be an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Our course will help you solve the problems associated with digital networking. If you need help personalizing your outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. If you need help targeting the right prospects, this course is for you. With so much noise on social media, it can be challenging to cut through the clutter and get your message in front of the right people. Our course will personalize your messaging using our targeting tools and research. You can identify and reach the right prospects. We will also show how to deliver high quality, valuable content that attracts and engages prospects and clients. The 5-Star BDM LinkedIn Social Selling course will address these challenges by implementing best practices. As a result, you can improve your social selling efforts and generate better results. Are you looking to improve your LinkedIn profile and reach a wider audience? Social selling is an effective way for you to generate leads and close deals, but it does have its challenges. Some common problems we saw with social selling include lack of visibility. If your profile is not optimized or you're not actively participating in groups or sharing content, it can be difficult to get noticed on LinkedIn. Number 2, lack of personalization. Some businesses struggle with personalizing their outreach and messaging, which can lead to low response rates and a lack of engagement. Also, difficulty targeting the right prospects. It can be difficult to identify and target the right prospects on social media, especially if you don't have access to robust targeting tools. And number 4, outdated content. If your LinkedIn profile or content is not up to date, it can give the impression that you're not actively engaged on the platform or that your skills and experience are not current. And lastly, poor quality content and not leveraging video and picture to convey ideas. To solve these problems, the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling Video course will help you focus on personalizing your outreach and messaging to better connect with prospects. In module number 1, the foundation, we will help you create high quality, valuable profile that will attract and engage. In module 2, the story, optimizing your LinkedIn profile to make sure it is complete, accurate, and visually appealing. In module number 3, the experience, using your targeting tools and research to identify and reach out to the right prospects. In module number 4, engagement, establishing a consistent follow-up process to nurture leads and build relationships over time. And lastly, in number 5, execution. Understand the metrics to help you measure your brand effectiveness. By addressing these challenges and implementing best practices, you will improve your social selling with the 5-star BDM LinkedIn Optimization Social Selling course. Listen to what others have said about 5-star BDM.
Grant, I'll tell you why I'm here, right? I'm here because I love your brand. When we started chatting on LinkedIn, we connected. I checked you out and I go, man, this guy knows what he's talking about.
You were definitely instrumental in helping to shape that knowledge of who I am. Because at first I thought, well, I am an actress. I am a writer. I am a producer. I am a speaker. And so I said, well, I must be a creative communicator. I know that there is a narrative thread here, but you nailed it when you said you are a storyteller. So you brought it all together in this cohesive title.
Sign up today to improve your social selling opportunities. Now I only got one more question to ask you. Probably my most important question today is, now this is your first interview on the Follow Brand podcast with me. How did you feel?
Oh, it feels great. Like I'm with you, Grant. First of all, Grant, you yourself, let me give you your flowers. You've been such a tremendous leader in our community, whether it's in the field of healthcare, leadership, IT. You are a tremendous leader.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.